Amocraft, or blood magic, is the practice of using blood as a source of your magical abilities. There are currently 3 official, critical role seal of approval ways to practice blood magic: the Blood Hunter, the Blood Domain Cleric, and the Blood Mage, all of which we will get into later on, but first, let's take a look at its origin. According to the lore of Tal'Dorei, during the Marrow War, the High Priest of the Julius Dominion made a secret pact with the Devil, with the intention of driving back the forces of the invading Dwendalian Empire. As per tradition of pacts with devils, the High Cleric got bamboozled for not reading the fine print and, although the Dwendalian Empire was driven back, they now had a teeny tiny undead infestation on the Marrow Valley. In these dark times, Trent Sorman, a priest of the Raven Queen, the matron of death and all things edgy, prayed upon his deity for powers to drive back the evil forces plaguing his people. The Raven Queen answered by bestowing upon him the secrets of Amocraft and all its sordid powers, which he then shared with his closest buddies so they could finally put an end to the undead/devil infestation. And so, the Claret Orders came to be. In the end, they succeeded on their mission, but before they were able to get those good boy points they so much deserved, the Dwendalian Empire took the chance to steamroll whatever defenses the Marrow Valley still had, and blamed the undead invasion on the Blood Hunters. And now, marginalized by society and blamed for the things they seek to defend common folk from, they keep to themselves, living mostly on the fringes of mankind and hunting monsters for coin, retreating to their keeps to train new generations of hunters to help in the battle against the monsters that plague the land. Kinda reminds me of something, but I just can't put my finger on what. That's basically all there is without getting into Critical Role Season 2 spoilers. Although blood magic is not exclusive to those of the Claret Orders, it is implied that most who practice Amocraft are at least somewhat connected to them. Obviously, when implementing Amocraft into your own games, you can choose for yourself what you would like its backstory to be, but most importantly, you should just make sure that everyone is comfortable with the possibility of blood magic and all its implications. I'm currently working on a video on introducing players to D&D and how to make games safe and fun for everyone, so if you're watching this from the future, I will leave a link to that, but for now, just as the Tal'Dorei Reborn book suggests, make sure everyone is cool and comfortable with blood magic before adding it into your own game. No matter how fun the possibility of slinging your blood around might be, the comfort and happiness of everyone at the table is way more important. Going back to the Tal'Dorei Reborn's description of blood magic spells and properties, it's important to think of how you would like to flavor your spells, like having Old Person be similar to bloodbending from Avatar, or your Find Familiar being a weird blob of veins and muscles, just making its miserable way through the world. There are a lot of interesting paths you can take when adding blood magic into your games, as it does not necessarily need to be exclusive to characters with blood. We get some input on that with Critical Role's most recent book, so if you want to make an undead or warforged blood mage, you can go ahead and fluff that however you like. One thing to keep in mind is when using blood magic on creatures that have no blood in them. This is up to the Dungeon Master to decide what he wants out of the game and how far Amocraft's abilities should extend, but the book recommends maybe giving advantage or disadvantage on rolls depending on how effective or ineffective it is against a targeted creature. Also that it shouldn't be effective against constructs or undead, but you do with that information as you will. Now let's dive into the classes. Starting with the Blood Hunter, and prefacing by saying I'm not gonna spend too much time on him since he has been around for quite some time, I think we should get the obvious out of the way. It's a Witcher class but you use blood. Is it good? Yep. Do I love it? Yep. Does someone at my table currently play one? Yep. Is it just a spicier Witcher? Very much so. Although I do like the final execution of the Blood Hunter class, I think we could have done quite nicely with it just being a ranger subclass, given all the flavor and lore we have, but seeing just how universally disliked the ranger class is and that the Blood Hunter is, well, an okay-ish to good class, especially after its update, I'm not too far up about it. And now, let us begin a very quick look through the Blood Hunter's abilities. As a Blood Hunter, you get to do a myriad of cool things. When you choose this class at level 1, your Hunter's Bane proves you have graduated from Blood Hunter Academy, giving you all the knowledge you need to begin your monster hunting journey. You also get the Blood Maledict feature that lets you do cool blood curse stuff such as stress, dress, distress, undress, make your targets eyeless, possess, oppress, and make their mind a mess. Later on, at level 2, your Crimson Rite lets you make your blade shinier in exchange for some of your life juice. You start by being able to make it fire, freeze, sparky, and later on you can make it more gross, confusing, and sparky again. At level 3, you choose from one of the flavors of Blood Hunter available: Puppy, Creepy, Freaky, and Spooky. If you want to play a Witcher, just go with the Freaky. At level 6, Brand of Castigation lets you mark stuff to hunt it down and deal more damage. Again, this would have worked a lot better as a ranger subclass, but oh well. At level 9, Grim Psychometry gives you the most important thing there is: knowledge. Level 10's Dark Augmentation makes you harder, better, faster, stronger. Level 13's Brand of Tethering makes sure that whatever you mark does not go away. At level 14, Ardent Soul gives you advantage against being charmed or frightened. And finally, at level 20, Sanguine Mastery proves you are one of the best at playing with blood. Most of the lore I described in the beginning of the video applied especially to them with the whole hunt them monsters down stuff, so let's jump into the two more recent subclasses portrayed in the book. Starting with the Blood Domain Cleric, and keeping in mind that Amocraft was first given to a priest, it makes sense for there to be a Blood Domain in the mix. In the first iteration published of the Tal'Dorei setting book, Blood Domain Clerics were supposed to only follow neutral and evil aligned deities, but that has been changed with the Tal'Dorei Reborn book, along with some of their abilities and spells. Blood Domain Clerics differ quite a bit from the Death and Grave Domain, although some mix-up is understandable given all the edge surrounding the three. While Death Domain, the true edgy cleric, loves all things dead, especially the undead, and Grave Domain understands that all things end in death and it's a natural conclusion to life, which means they thoroughly despise undead for defying the natural order. Blood Domain just praises the life juices powering the flesh puppet controlled by your brain. Blood is the fuel that keeps you going, and for that, it's sacred and important. Quoting the book, "Those who take up this domain understand that the power of blood is the power of sacrifice, the balance of life and death, and the spirit's anchor within the mortal shell. When choosing which god to follow, as a blood cleric, it's a good idea to keep in mind what the people of your world think of blood magic in general. Just as you could have that only evil and neutral gods give access to blood magic due to its connection to sacrifice and overall just being creepy, good aligned gods could have connections to blood magic due to its nature of self-sacrifice and association with life in general." Now taking a look at the subclass itself, the Blood Domain Cleric spell list and abilities focus quite a bit on martial combat. Gaining proficiency with martial weapons, plus being able to deal extra damage with instantaneous spells at level 1, there is a great focus on the combat aspect right from the start. And later on, at level 10, being able to deal an extra 1d8 with one weapon attack on each of your turns, which turns into 2d8 at level 14, means that it's quite the punch you will be packing. Both of its channel divinities are quite interesting too. Crimson Bond, at level 2, gives you the ability to form a connection for 1 hour with a character, so long as you can see them or have a sample of their blood with you. This bond lets you know their approximate distance, how many hit points they have left from their maximum total, and any other status effects that they are currently suffering from, so long as they are no further than 10 miles from you. You can also push your luck and, as an action, take 2d6 necrotic damage and have your target make a constitution saving throw against your spell DC. If they succeed, you get to feel quite stupid as you have now wasted your bond. If the target fails, you can now either see or hear what they are experiencing for a number of minutes equal to your wisdom modifier, although you will be either deaf or blind for that duration yourself. Their second channel divinity, at level 6, lets you live out your waterbending fantasies of controlling someone's blood flow and making them your puppets. You can target a large or smaller creature, although when you reach 17th level, you can go for a huge or smaller, and have them make a wisdom saving throw that, when failed, they become charmed by you. This saving throw is automatically failed if the creature is unconscious, and they cease to be incapacitated for the duration. The affected creature has the same stat block as when they are fully conscious, and they act immediately after your own turn. They can either make a single attack, interact with an object or just do nothing. At the end of their turns, if conscious, they can attempt to make another saving throw to end the effects. This is not unlimited in time though, as it lasts almost a minute, and you concentrate on it as if on a spell. At level 17, you gain the ability to make a Screw You bubble, where anyone hostile who moves within 30 feet of you will take 3d6 necrotic damage. They will also be unable to properly regain any hit points while inside the bubble, only gaining half this supposed amount if they try. Finally, my favorite ability for the Blood Domain by far would be the Sanguine Recall. At 6th level, staying true to the sacrifice motif of Amocraft, you can expend some of your life slots to regain some spell slots. These spell slots can at most have a combined level equal to half your cleric level rounded up, and you take 1d8 necrotic damage for each spell slot regained. Honestly, I think the Blood Domain abilities could have leaned a bit more on this sacrifice aspect of blood magic. With everything considered, I think it's a well executed class, but maybe the Sanguine Recall feature should be nerfed a bit by adjusting the damage to 2d4 per spell level. Finally, we have the Blood Mage. Although I believe it would have been more appropriate to make this subclass for warlocks or even sorcerers, keeping in mind the background of Amocraft we went through before, and looking into the lore of the Blood Mage, we are given an interesting explanation as to why wizards. Blood magic, in the world of Tal'Dorei, is a natural and considered taboo, being that most wizards who choose to practice Amocraft do so as a way to fuel their magic, to achieve limits they would not be able to normally, almost akin to the pursuit of lichdom, although a lighter version of it. Given its background of monster hunting, we know that blood magic had a higher purpose when it was created, but its secrets seem to have slipped from the Cleric Orders and made its way to more unreputable mages that would use them to just fuel their anger for power. As with most forms of magic in D&D, blood magic is not inherently evil, it's what their users make it to be. As an example of so, we are given the case of Honor Kinabari, a blood mage of the League of Miracles whose name I just butchered. Honor just wants to do good even though she may have joined the guild of questionable credibility. Diving into its abilities, although the Blood Mage is not meant to be as martially adept as a Blood Domain Cleric and the Blood Hunter, it would be a good idea to make sure you have some hit points to spare when using this subclass. At second level, when choosing the Blood Mage subclass, we have the Blood Channeling ability, which allows you to use your blood as an arcane focus if your current hit points are below its maximum. Added to this is the ability to give up some of your blood instead of component materials when casting spells. For each 50 gold pieces in cost, you take 1d10 necrotic damage, which cannot be reduced by any means. As with the Blood Domain Cleric's Sanguine Recall, I think that this damage should be boosted up to a 2d6, to both keep it more streamlined and to discourage gambling the use of this ability constantly, at least at lower levels. Additionally, you get the Sanguine Burst ability, which, when casting a spell that deals damage, allows you to take necrotic damage equal to the spell slot level used in the casting, and, in exchange, you get to reroll a number of damage dice equal to your intelligence modifier. At 6th level, you gain Bond of Mutual Suffering, which means that when a creature hits you with an attack, you can make them take the same amount of damage you just did as a reaction, once per short or long rest. At 14th level, you can do this twice. And now, for what seems to me as a very overpowered feature, you can Glyph of Hemorrhaging at level 10. This ability lets you curse a creature you damage with a spell for 1 minute. Under this curse, whenever the affected creature takes an attack, it receives an extra 1d6 damage, which means that, against a party of 5 level 10 characters, that would be about 5d6 to 8d6 free damage per turn, until the curse is dispelled, which is only done so when a creature succeeds a Constitution saving throw at the end of their turn. Yep, it does not require concentration, and yes, it does put the Warlock's axe to shame. Just imagine a party of 3 to 4 monks and a Blood Mage. Sure, I might be reading too much into it, and it might be a bit situational, but if DMing has taught me anything, is to never underestimate the power of Murphy's Law and the ingenuity of players out for violence. And now, at long last, we have the Thicker Than Water ability at 14th level. With this, whenever you are healed, you gain additional hit points equal to your proficiency modifier. Also, whenever you are concentrating on a spell, you are resistant to bludgeoning, piercing and slashing damage from non-magical attacks. Honestly, I didn't really expect to see the day where wizards begin to steal abilities from barbarians, but hey, here we are I guess. In comparison to the Blood Cleric we went through before, the focus on the sacrifices necessary for blood magic are much more present here in the Blood Mage, and they are quite well done. The only thing I would probably trade between these two subclasses is maybe give the Sanguine Recall to the Blood Mage and the Glyph of Hemorrhaging to the Blood Domain Cleric. There is one extra feature relating to blood magic in the recent Tal'Dorei book, and this one comes in the form of a feat. With the Vital Sacrifice feat, a character can gain access to Hemocraft in the form of a blood boon. As a bonus action, you can choose to take 1d6 necrotic damage which cannot be reduced in any way, to gain a blood boon that lasts 1 hour or until you decide to use it. There are 3 different uses for blood boons. You can add a 1d6 to the attack roll total of an attack you make. When you deal damage with an attack or spell, you can add an extra 2d6 damage. Or finally, when you make a target roll a dexterity, a constitution or a strength saving throw, you can reduce their final roll by 1d4. I think it's a small neat little feature to give to some NPCs here and there, to add to the idea of blood magic beginning to expand and ceasing to be a Cleric Orders exclusive. Blood magic is cool and, although I don't agree with some of the choices made with the subclasses, and that Blood Hunter being an entire class itself seems kinda overkill, I think your game won't break if you do decide to slap this in your campaign. Just make sure that everyone is comfortable with the idea. Anyways, I took way longer making this video than what I first expected to due to a certain virus going around, and honestly, I have no idea on how to end this video, so yeah, bye.